Yes.
Jane Velez Mitchell with Jane Unchained. We've got breaking news. We have swans, beautiful swans, under assault in a lake in the New Jersey, New York area. This story was brought to us by In Defense of Animals, heroically on the front lines, always really monitoring the nation and the world for animal abuse. And so IDA, In Defense of Animals, put us in touch with Michele Shenker. You live at the lake. What is the problem, Michele?
The problem is that there's a commission on the lake called the Greenwood Lake Commission, which is separate from our local government, and they have called the USDA on a family of swans because one of the swans was deemed aggressive. What's been happening is there's a ton of jet skis and a ton of boats on the lake this year, and some kids on jet skis have been harassing the swans. They've been like going in circles and separating the parents from the babies, and people called the Greenwood Lake Commission to complain. Now the Greenwood Lake Commission then called in the USDA to assess the swans. We've been told that assess often means kill, and we're trying to prevent that if we can.
See, this is happening all over the world. Okay. Now, by the way, I don't know if you zoom in on these jet skiers. These are just jet skiers at the lake. We're not implying that those are the people doing anything wrong. But what we have is a situation where all around the world, animals are on assault. They are under assault. Whether it's squirrels in my neighborhood, swans in your neighborhood, elk in somebody else's neighborhood, the Bayona wetlands here in LA, which so-called environmentalists want to bulldoze. The last coastal wetlands in Los Angeles, bulldoze it. Everything is based on the arrogance of our species. Oh, if they're interfering with our incredible sense of entitlement for 1 second, let's kill them. We are a sick species. This pandemic is nature's way of saying, go to your room, think about how you've been behaving, human race, and either come out evolved, kind, willing to live with another species, or die. Now, we've got a swan expert joining us, Sheila Bolin. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Can you tell us what your perspective is on this issue where the jet skiers harass the swan, the swan parents protect their young, and now, oh, well, the USDA is being called in so that we're going to assess these aggressive swans. That's what they always say when animals stand up for themselves, when they're being harassed and tortured and bullied by humans. And the USDA could come in and say, yeah, let's get rid of the swans. And this is what we're doing around the world. This is why we are in the 6th mass extinction right now. What are your thoughts, Sheila?
Major issue as to why USDA wants these birds dead. We've been fighting the issue since around the 1980s. The bottom line is they're trying to remove all mute swans in the United States to free up their habitat to bring in the larger trumpeter swan for trophy waterfowl hunting. So immediately when the USDA gets called, these swans get killed. And there's also a huge expense to the taxpayer for doing this too. People do not realize that this program has been going on since the 1980s, and it's run taxpayers billions of dollars. It's in the millions on a yearly basis.
What is wrong with the human race? I just can't even begin now to fathom that we want to kill these swans so we can bring in other swans so we can kill them. Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what the whole bottom line has been since 1980 with the Department of Wildlife Services. Both state and federal wildlife services have tried to put the trumpeter swans in places they've never before existed so that they can be used for trophy waterfowl hunting. If you go into the Trumpeter Swan Society, you'll find out that most of the board is former state and federal wildlife officials.
So it's a rigged system, rigged against the animals. And ultimately, we're going to pay the price because as humans, we're doing this around the world. I mean, when I finish this, I'm going to go on a call to try to save the Bayona wetlands here in Los Angeles. They want to bulldoze all 640 acres, the last remaining coastal wetland, home to 1,700 species. And they're so diabolical, they're calling it a restoration. Wait a second, you're going to bulldoze the whole thing? That's a restoration? I mean, they're asking us to even defy our own common sense. It's all about this. It's all about the desire for power, money, and dominance. And we have to wake up as a species, Michele. And let me throw that to Lisa Levinson, because you're with IDA and Defense of Animals. You brought us this story. Thank you so much. What are we getting wrong, and what do people who love nature, who love animals, and want to save the planet from environmental catastrophe, what do we need to do?
Well, first of all, we have to get involved in what's going on locally. So Michele and also Joyce Dannheim, they work together to help save the waterfowl on that lake. And without them, the geese that live there and the swans that live there would be dead. So it's so important for all of us to get involved, what's going on locally, and we find out often at the last minute, but that's when we got to mobilize and get active. And it's really important in this situation. The swans have been harassed most of the summer, and a lot of it has to do with the authorities not keeping the wake limits. When the jet skiers go by, they're supposed to slow down, and they're also not supposed to go too close to the swans. And the male swan has gotten more aggressive because he's protecting his young, and he's been doing this. Now he's pretty terrified of these jets.
Well, here's the irony of the whole thing. This is a phrase that's used anytime animals become inconvenient, even in the slightest way to humans, they're aggressive. Who's really being aggressive? The jet skiers. They're the ones that are circling the swans, harassing the swans, and these swans are just trying to protect their families. Is there any way to file any kind of a legal action that would essentially say, the humans are at fault here? And I'll throw that to Sheila.
There are several things that are going on here. One is that because the USDA wants them killed and they're making money off of it, because basically wildlife is a commodity. That's the bottom line. So whether they're going to come out and do something, they're not going to relocate them because they want them dead. So the only thing that they can do is have enough of an outrage, I guess, on a lake with a bunch of residents, is to put up no wake signs, speed signs, stay away, and then call in the Marine Patrol. That may be at the state level, and you don't have to go so much to the federal level. The last thing we want to do is call something aggressive. There's a difference between aggressive and defensive, and most people can't recognize the difference, and then that's when everything gets in trouble. And then the last thing I would say is that there's a whole myriad of legal issues that I can't even get into right now that can be filed because they are basically violating a law. But the last thing I need everyone to know is, because less than 7% of the population is hunters, the wildlife officials, their budgets are losing. So they're coming out with this new thing called nuisance animals. And it's not so new. It's been around a little bit, but they've contrived this where they'll put animals such as deer, or they will allow deer or other animals, turkeys, you name it, to go into suburban areas. When the time comes that it becomes a nuisance, then you have to call animal control, which will not deal with anything. They call the state. State gets with the federal, and each one of them get money for removing the nuisance animals that they allowed to be put there in the first place to help with their hunting budgets.
So let me ask you, and by the way, if you ever see me looking down, I'm sharing this story out. I'm sharing this story out with people who live in New York and New Jersey so they can get involved. But it's truly a global problem. People feel that they own this entire planet and that animals essentially have no right to exist here. And the big problem for humans with that is that now we have destroyed the planet so much that we are barreling toward an ecological collapse, because there is a balance in nature. And if you wipe out all the animals, what you're going to do is wipe out this animal, the human animal. And so at the trajectory, at the rate we're going, destroying wildlife, there are estimates that we will have virtually no wildlife vertebrates on this planet, with the exception of the squirrels and the rats and other animals that manage to live in urban areas and survive if they're not poisoned, by 2026. I did a whole documentary about this called Countdown to Year Zero, and it's on Amazon Prime if you want to watch it. It profiles the work of Dr. Silas Rao, who is a systems analyst, a PhD from Stanford, who is a brilliant man. And he said, at the rate we're going, at the trajectory we're going, we will have no wildlife vertebrates, essentially, by 2026. We're talking 6 years. Lisa Levinson, this is a crisis, and it's so hard to talk to people and say, you're hurting yourself. When you disrespect nature, you're hurting yourself. The blowback. Look at the pandemic we're in right now. It's a zoonotic disease that jumped from wild animals to humans, believed to jump from bats, likely to pangolins, to humans. And all of these pandemics that we are facing are zoonotic diseases.
Yes, and some of the important information that the biologists they're recommending, they're saying, do not disturb nature at this time. That can lead to more coronavirus types of zoonotic outbreaks. So we want to keep nature in balance and in place. And it's really important on this lake. There's just one swan family on this 9-mile lake. Why kill the family? You know, it's so important to have these animals on the lake. Wouldn't you imagine that if you purchase property near a lake that you would want to see the animals that live there? And there actually are a lot of people in the neighborhood there that love to see the swans.
Well, there's a general, usually it's a little bit of a battle. You have, I just saw a dog running. I want to make sure he didn't get away. No, the neighbor has his companion animal. But you usually have a group in a neighborhood that wants that enjoys the wildlife, that likes to foster the wildlife, maybe even feed the wildlife. And then you have a group that considers them vermin. That's a quote, direct quote, and pests. And they want to kill the wildlife. And they'll even go out and say, no animals at all. This is a direct quote, okay? I'm not making this up. I've experienced this personally. What do you say to those people in terms of trying to convince them that by expressing your dominance over nature, you are really spelling your own demise, perhaps the demise of our species? I mean, this is a really big issue, because this is just one tiny little example of something that is happening the world over right now. Even though there's a lot of news reports that we're the 6th mass extinction. And I'll take it to Michele, because you're dealing with it right there in your neighborhood.
You're asking, what do we say to them?
Yeah, what do you say to people who want to kill these swans, who are torturing the swans, who are bullying the swans, these teenagers, or whoever it may be, or the USDA? It's never, generally one person.
For the people who come and live on the lake or come to enjoy the lake, I sort of ask, how can you want to be in nature and want to be in wildlife and then want to kill nature and wildlife? I never quite understood that. Like, there's a way to coexist. The animals can be happy and we can be happy, and I don't understand why people can't sort of make a little bit of an adjustment just to live in peace with the wildlife that everybody loves.
Well, people want to use their jet skis, and they see maybe the problem is jet skis. You take jet skis and teenagers and put them together. Are they going to have the maturity to just use them in a way that is respectful of nature? I mean, maybe the solution is to ban jet skis at the lake. That would never pass.
That would never pass. But I don't think it's the jet skis. I think it's the people on the jet skis. And I think somebody who's going to be cruel to an animal on a jet ski is also going to be cruel to an animal off a jet ski. I just think it's maybe either educating people or teaching people, or if not, finding people and saying, listen, you're going to get in trouble. If everybody has a camera these days, and you're going to get in trouble if somebody sees you do it.
Please share this video out. Maybe some people will wake up and have a moment of awareness that, oh my gosh, if I chase all the animals out of my neighborhood, because maybe this one animal ate a rose bush, or this one animal left a peanut shell on my couch. I want to kill them. Let's just kill them.
Jane, can I say something? Most people don't realize this, and the wildlife people have put out really bad things, misrepresentations about the swans, that they're invasive, that they eat too much vegetation, all this mess. One thing they are ignoring, and this has been known since the early 70s, that the mute swans are a sentinel species, meaning they alert scientists to heavy metals in the lake or the environment, such as lead, copper, metal, or mercury, and they also alert to harmful microorganisms. So when you kill this sentinel species, once something goes bad in that lake or in the environment, you have no sentinel sitting there telling you something's going on. You have no alert system, and that's going to doom not only the habitat but the people around.
But why otherwise intelligent people don't understand this? I really, really don't understand. And I remember reading the book, The Best and the Brightest, about how the intelligentsia, it's a sarcastic title. It's explained right at the beginning that this is what the best and the brightest brought us: the Vietnam War, a quagmire, a nightmare. And now the best and the brightest are bringing us other nightmares, environmental nightmares. I mean, we have Greta Thunberg going around the world waking people up. Our house is on fire. Our house is on fire, and a lot of people go, "Yeah, great, yes, that's wonderful." And then let's get rid of these animals. Let's get rid of these animals. Lisa Levinson, IDA, In Defense of Animals.
Yeah, well, we're with you 100%, Jane. I mean, we definitely want we think the quality of our life on the planet is enhanced by being connected to all the animals. We're all in this beautiful web of life, and so just as Sheila was sharing, we need the presence of the swans, not only for our aesthetic connection to beauty and the awe of nature, but also for mutual survival. And it's so the people who care about animals have the opportunity to speak and be heard by our local the commissioners in this case. And it would be great, especially anyone in New York, New Jersey, but anyone out there can actually call these commissioners and write them and tell them that you are standing up for this swan family. They're just doing what's natural to them. The swan, the father of the family, is just protecting his babies, basically, and they've been aggressively attacked in this by jet skiers who are circling around them, running towards them. It's scary for them. So we actually are imploring everybody to call. And Michele may have the phone number there. We can get that for you.
Let's get it up. Let's get some calls in. That's what we need, is a specific call to action. You're going to give it to me. I'm going to put it right now on the screen. What's the number?
Just bear with me.
The USDA?
Well, I don't know that calling the USDA will help, but sure. It would be.
What number were you suggesting that we call? This is breaking news, so this is happening. You know, normally we'd have a couple of days to prepare, but right now we're doing this on the fly because these animals are potentially going to be wiped out. So our action point is call and say, don't kill the squirrel, don't kill the swan. Don't kill the swans. What is the number?
I can give you the number. This is Lisa with IDA. So you can call Eric Payne. His name is actually Payne, of the Greenwood Lake Commission. PAIN.
I'm just going to put Greenwood Lake Commission.
Sure, that's fine. And the phone number there is...
Okay, this is not somebody's personal number.
No, this is...
Okay, Greenwood Lake Commission, hit me.
973
972
2241.
2241. Okay, not 973-962-2241. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
I would just like to throw out there that the Greenwood Lake Commission is separate from the Village of Greenwood Lake, the local government. So call the Greenwood Lake Commission. Don't call the local Greenwood Lake government because they're not the ones.
Call this number, 973-962-2241.
And you can also call the Congressman Josh Gottheimer there if you'd like to. We can give you that number too.
Absolutely. We'll put it in. We'll put it in the intro so that everybody has it. But if you're watching right now, I'm going to call right this second. I'm calling right this second. Let's say 973-962-2241. Let's call. Now, I don't know. I don't think I have the right to play their audio. I don't know even where I'm calling, so I'm not going to play the audio. I want to hear what happened. Yes, hi. I'm calling. I'm a journalist, and I'm calling because I'm live right now, and I'm talking to people who are very upset about the USDA's plan to go and assess some swans on Greenwood Lake that are just protecting their babies from aggressive jet skiers. And they are concerned that there might be sort of a scheme to wipe them out, and that the USDA is going to go over there and do an assessment and say, oh, yeah, they're aggressive because they want to get rid of them anyway, so they can bring in other swans that then can be hunted. What's your response to that? My name is Jane Velez Mitchell, and I'm a journalist with JaneUnchained.com, and we're live right now. Okay, yeah, give me, yeah, sure, give me the phone number. So because I'm press, I have to get to the press number, which I will call. Are you going to be issuing a news release on this in defense of animals? Go ahead.
Yes, we will.
What's the number? Well, yeah, we're live. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So are you going to, I'm listening. Go ahead. Put me on hold. It's okay. Uh-oh. I may have to take this call. All right. Listen, we're going to stay on top of this. You know the number to call. Hello. Okay. Is this urgent? Because I got to call you back. I'm on live. Okay. Thank you. You too. Okay. So I'm going to get back to the other call and see what's happening with this lady. I'm on hold. Okay. Hi. Yeah. I'm sorry. What was the number? 609-984-1795. Okay, thank you. And please pass on. I'm also a human being. Pass on that people are so upset about this. I've been inundated with calls. They don't want to see these swans killed because jet skiers are harassing them, and they're simply defending and protecting their babies, as anyone would. Wouldn't you protect your babies if they were being harassed by jet skiers? Well, you're also a human being. I'm just letting you know. We're human to human. We don't need to kill swans because they're defending their babies because jet skiers are harassing them. Pass it on. Thank you so much. Okay, so she's there. She says she's a historian for the park who picked up the phone. Well, I let her know. You just heard. So everybody, please give this number a call, 973-962-2241. Let's save these swans. Let's save all the wildlife. Let's use this pandemic as a time to reflect the way we're treating animals. Okay, is it now in our self-interest? We are all suffering from a pandemic as we speak. The stock market, and this is an evergreen story. We're going to keep it up for forever. But just so happens today when this story aired, which is September 3rd, 2020, the stock market is crashing. The economy is in trouble. People are out of work. People are sick. They're estimating, what is it, more than 180,000? I can't keep up with how many people have died because of a pandemic that is a zoonotic disease, jumped from wildlife to humans because we are encroaching on their wildlife. We're stealing them from the wild. We're commoditizing animals. We're torturing them. We're putting them in cages. We're killing them. And nature is basically taking its revenge on us as a species. We have to change our relationship with nature. And so we really need to respect these animals. These animals are innocent. They have done nothing wrong. They are simply defending their young. And it's fine to jet ski, and I don't know who these people are. Again, if you zoom in and see their faces, we're not saying it's them who did this. There are just a lot of jet skiers out there, and they need to be respectful of nature. Wow. Okay, final thoughts, everybody. We're going to give everybody 30 seconds, starting with Michele.
I hope we can save the swan family. They're beautiful, and their lake is their home too.
I would revise that. Let's say we are committed to saving the swan family.
We are committed to saving the swan family.
Yes. I mean, we have to not feel like defeatists before we get started, because I don't know, Sheila looks pretty intimidating to me. I think she's going to save the swan family.
Well, we're trying to save every swan family in the United States because, again, the state and federal wildlife officials are behind this. We've stopped it one time in New York. They're trying to come back and do it again, but we have had a moratorium with everybody working. But it's up to everyone to call their state senators, state representatives, and state no more. Do not allow the federal government to come in and kill them, and that the state needs to protect them.
Final question. I've heard New York and New Jersey. Does this lake cover both states, Sheila?
Yes.
Okay, so if you're in New York, you can call your New York state senators, members of Congress, and ditto for New Jersey. Correct. What about the governors? What about going to Governor Cuomo?
The first time that the moratorium was set and people really had a major issue with it, he vetoed it. The second time there was such an outrage and that more and more people came online stating, you don't need to kill them, the moratorium was passed. And that moratorium has been in since 2017, but the New York DEC is trying to reinstigate again a killing or control program. So people just need to go after their state representatives and say no more.
Well, I think you need a petition, frankly. And I know, IDA, I'll give you the final word on this.
Yes, stay tuned. We are in the process of putting together a petition to save this family and also to save others. This is so key. And it's going on in lakes across the country, actually, this type of abuse. We hear about it frequently, and we really wanted to take action on this particular lake because we think it's just the saddest story. There's only one swan family on this 9-mile lake. The babies have been there a lot of the summer. They're juveniles at this point, and the people have been watching them grow up, and they probably have adored them, and now they're willing to. A lot of the public is not willing, but the people who are part of the commission are willing to go ahead and just kill the family.
But I'm a little confused. No acronyms, no abbreviations, if you would, Sheila. Is there a moratorium on killing the swans or not?
There is a moratorium in New York as of 2017. In other states, there is not. They do not allow hunting, but it is against the Migratory Bird Treaty Act for any swan to be hunted in the United States, with the exception of the tundra swan by indigenous people of Alaska.
I'm going to jump to the chase. You're saying the USDA is going to come out, assess these swans to kill them. This lake covers New York and New Jersey. In New York, they are not allowed to do it, correct?
But you have federal government. That's the issue. That's why the state has said that the state government cannot kill them, but the federal government can come in and override. That's why there needs to be a state law stating that they are protected and override. You can supersede the federal government if the state decides to have their own rights.
So the USDA is the federal government.
Correct.
And why is it the Department of Agriculture? These are not, nobody eats swans.
They say they do, but here's the deal. When they kill them, they'll say that they send them to the homeless shelters. But if they do, people have been applying for FOIA to find out if USDA has been checking them to find out if they're viable for
Oh, please.
human.
Swan meat at a homeless shelter?
That's
I
what
mean,
they
I
say.
got a bridge to sell you in Arizona.
That's what they say. But the thing is, no one can ever prove that they have ever been checked safely if they can be fed.
I'm
But
sorry.
that's their excuse.
This is okay. That is a lawsuit right there. That is a legal action. You can't just kill swans in a lake that's used by jet skiers and serve it to homeless people.
That has been going on throughout the United States. That's their excuse.
I think you've got a legal action right there. There's no way. Where are these swans killed? Where are they refrigerated? We're in the middle of a pandemic that's caused by the use of wildlife in the food system. There is legislation to shut down retail slaughter markets because of the dangers. Lisa Levinson, you just may have hit on something big.
Well, actually,
the entire premise of this is just completely insane.
It is insane. It's very frustrating. However, in Denver earlier this year, they did kill some geese there, and they did bring them to a local slaughterhouse and serve them to the homeless. And a lot of the animals are toxic because they've been in the waters and ingested the heavy metals and various things, pesticides, all kinds of chemicals. So it really is an injustice to not only kill the animals, but also to feed their flesh to people who stand to risk these zoonotic diseases.
Anytime you're in an area with a lot of people and there's a body of water, they generally say, don't go fishing in it, don't use this food. Right here in the marina, they have those signs, and yet you still see people fishing, but they say, don't fish here because it's an area with a lot of human population and people are dumping a lot of junk in there. So I would say a water test that might show that there might be some problems in the water. I mean, I think it's absolutely insane. Let me ask, well, I don't think any of you would eat swan, but I mean, even those watching at home, would somebody said, I just caught this swan in a local lake and killed it here. My mind is just, I cannot even believe this. The USDA that's out of control. That is really out of control. There needs to be some kind of federal legislation saying that, because if that's their excuse, that they're feeding swans to homeless people, when meanwhile, we're having to recall, millions and millions and millions and millions of pounds of meat because of E. coli and various other problems. You read about it in the news every day. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. All right. I think, you could talk about this all day. All I want to say is thank you for alerting In Defense of Animals. Thank you for alerting us to this issue. We invite the USDA. We invite the association in this lake, the Lake Association, on to talk. We'd love to dialogue with them at any time about this issue. And thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. Thanks so much.
Bye.